Once slated to bombard targets on land, the three destroyers of the Zumwalt class are changing course. The USS Zumwalt and her two sister ships are undergoing a dramatic change of mission just 3 years after the first ship was commissioned. The destroyers, originally meant to provide naval gunfire support for the Marines and bombard targets far inland, are now being reorientated to a ship killer role. The Zumwalt class of destroyers was meant to dramatically boost the fleet's gun firepower. After the retirement of the 4 Iowa-class battleships in the early 1990s, the service studied a number of solutions before deciding on the Zumwalts. Each ship would be equipped with two 155mm advanced gun systems, each firing a precision-guided long-range land attack projectile to ranges of up to 83 miles. The U.S. Navy originally planned to buy 32 destroyers, a number that was cut to 7 ships, and then finally to just 3. The cost of the long-range land attack projectile, originally pegged at $50,000 each, ballooned to $800,000 each, making them unaffordable to even the mighty U.S. Navy. Without enough ships and guns, the Zumwalts were in danger of becoming the white elephants of the fleet. The Zumwalt destroyer program has been an expensive mess. The program has cost $23 billion to date, producing just 3 ships with an average cost of $7.8 billion, more than 3 times the cost of Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyers that make up the bulk of the Navy's surface fleet. Furthermore, the ships are 5 years late and, without long-range land attack projectile ammunition, cannot fulfill their original mission. Now, less than 3 years after lead ship Zumwalt joined the fleet, the service is changing the ship's mission from land attack to surface warfare, sinking other ships. In addition to the 2 guns, each ship has 80 Mk-57 vertical launch armored missile silos capable of carrying a mix of offensive and defensive weaponry. The Zumwalts, according to Warrior Maven, will carry the latest version of the Tomahawk cruise missile, the Maritime Tomahawk missile. Maritime Tomahawk will allow the ship to strike other ships at sea, potentially hundreds of miles away, using friendly assets such as high-altitude drones and P-8A, Poseidon aircraft to provide target data. Another weapon Navy officials envision putting on the Zumwalts is a laser weapon in the 150 kilowatt class. The Zumwalts are some of the first ships with an integrated power system that generates up to 78 megawatts, enough to power thousands of homes. The destroyers need a capacitor system to store and then quickly surge power to a laser. Although not powerful enough to meaningfully damage larger ships, a 150 kilowatt laser could be used against small, swarming boats such as those favored by Iran's Revolutionary Guards Corps, drones, and incoming missiles. Lasers can burn holes in ship hulls, torch flying drones and slice off control surfaces, and explode the propellant or warhead in an incoming missile. Ultimately, according to Warrior Maven, the Navy will position the Zumwalts as bridge ships between the old Navy and a Navy equipped with lasers, railguns, and other energy-intensive weapons. The Zumwalts will mix both chemical energy, gunpowder, and electrical energy weapons on the same platform. Within the next 20 or 30 years, the service may not build ships with chemical energy weapons at all. Meanwhile, the Navy is taking a wait-and-see approach to the two advanced gun systems on each ship. The service is waiting for a new bullet that offers the longest range possible for land attack, strike and surface warfare. This would likely be a rocket-propelled, guided artillery shell capable of engaging moving enemy ships at very long ranges or fulfilling the ship's original mission. The three ships in the Zumwalt class are USS Elmo Zumwalt, former Chief of Naval Operations, USS Michael Mansour, a Navy SEAL who posthumously won the Congressional Medal of Honor in Iraq, and USS Lyndon B. Johnson, 36th President of the United States. The remote-controlled vehicle is one of the most dangerous jobs in the U.S. military. A new unmanned version of the M1 Abrams main battle tank recently underwent testing in Yakima, Washington. The robotic complex breach concept vehicle, designed to clear minefields and battlefield obstacles ahead of a ground assault, was developed to take humans out of the line of fire for one of the most dangerous jobs in the military: obstacle breaching and combat engineering. In ground warfare, defending forces typically develop a so-called counter-mobility plan to boost their defenses. This typically involves the use of stringing concertina wire, digging trenches, sowing minefields, and constructing anti-tank barriers. The purpose of this is to restrict the attacker's mobility on the battlefield, slowing them down so the defenders have more time to pick them off. Combat engineers, known as pioneers or sappers in some armies, are tasked with removing these obstacles on the battlefield and keeping the attack going. Unfortunately, this means working directly in front of the enemy guns, dealing with dangerous objects like razor-sharp wire and landmines. As a result, combat engineers often suffer disproportionately high losses during attacks. When the U.S. Army developed a new vehicle designed to literally blast and plow its way through enemy defenses, the M1150 Assault Breacher Vehicle, it decided only the M1 Abrams main battle tank was tough enough to survive on the front line. The Assault Breacher Vehicle removes the vehicle's turret and main gun and instead adds a mine plow, dozer blade, ordnance removal charges, and an explosive mine-clearing system. The Assault Breacher Vehicle can plow through wire barriers, fill trenches, blow a lane through minefields with a rocket-propelled linear explosive charge, and smash anti-tank barriers. The Assault Breacher Vehicle increases protection versus anti-tank rockets and missiles with reactive armor boxes bolted to the superstructure. A new vehicle, the Robotic Complex Breach Concept Vehicle. Robotic Complex Breach Concept takes the M1150 Assault Breacher Vehicle and unmans it, with the vehicle operated remotely by a soldier in the rear. The Assault Breacher Vehicle was already wired with a full suite of outward-facing cameras to allow soldiers inside the vehicle to do their jobs. Sticking your head outside a hatch during actual combat would be too dangerous, so these cameras were probably just linked to a wireless networking system. A remote steering and equipment operation system was added to the vehicle, and the Assault Breacher Vehicle became the Robotic Complex Breach Concept. The robotic complex breach concept is currently undergoing testing as Joint Warfighting Assessment at the Yakima Training Center. The Joint Warfighting Assessment is a field exercise where the U.S. Army and Marine Corps are testing future technologies for possible deployment, including robotic technologies. Army and Marine experience with the robotic complex breach concept will almost certainly inform future robotic ground vehicle development, especially since one of the requirements for the Army's M2 Bradley replacement is the ability to operate unmanned. Incidentally, electromagnetic interference from the Joint Warfighting Assessment is so strong it is affecting older garage door remote controls in nearby communities.